Welcome to Sakshi TV special immigration show with lawyer Srinivas Kaveti from Kaveti Law Firm. Please note that Sakshi TV now has 3 immigration shows every week on Tuesday at 3 p.m. EST with attorney Srinivas Kaveti, at 5:30 EST with on Wednesdays with Banu and Indra, and on Friday at 6 p.m. EST with Chan Parvati. Please tune in to ask your questions. If you are an immigration attorney and would like to join our special shows, please email us at sakshitv.com or call us at 8667257441. Before we get onto the show, please note that the information provided on this show is not legal advice and for general informational purposes only. Sakshi TV or its agents will not be responsible for use of information. If you need any specific legal advice, you can contact the attorney directly. So, Mr. Kaviti's law firm is headquartered in New York City and is an international law firm with a global footprint, operating their offices in Australia, Asia, Europe, and North America. Indeed, they do cover so many different topics on different types of law firms, of law and other practices too. So, without any further delay, let us welcome him onto our show. Hello, Mr. Srinivas Garu. I hope you're doing really well. How are you? I mean, welcome back to our show.
Thank you. I'm doing great. Weather is beautiful and beautiful. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Srinivas Garu, for joining us today. It's indeed an honor for us to have you with us. And also, Srinivas Garu, I thought we can discuss a little, a serious topic today, which is Brown Lives Matter. So, Srinivas Garu, there's so many different, there's so many stuff happening around the world, and Brown Lives Matters is something that I feel, and I feel like everybody must talk about. So can you just, give a basic, just a thought about what actually is Brown Lives Matters and anything that you want to say to the viewers before starting the show?
Right. When you see the world, the way things are going after, September 11 and the way the Western world is looking at it. And in the past, after the George matter in America, Black Lives Matters. Now, I guess the whole world is looking at brown people now. That's what it is. Brown Lives Matters. It's just basically, the way a white man is treating a brown man, the way they treated a black man in the past. So, it's coming to a point that how a white Anglo-Saxon man is, handling a brown person. That's all basically. Yes. So, that's what Brown Life Matters now. That's all it.
Yes. And I think a lot of people are indeed getting aware of it, because I feel like racism is indeed a topic that a lot of people, especially from, the Asian countries, face in USA, because USA is, of course, a lot of people are white. So to get onto this topic, Mr. Srinivas, we got to know about very special case, about a very sad case that happened to Mr. Rizwan. He was apparently from Afghanistan, and he committed suicide in school, which is very heartbreaking. Can you please enlighten us with some information about what exactly happened?
Yeah, you took up a very sensitive area, Ms. Shivani. It's unfortunate that in May, in May 5th, this boy, Rizwan Kostani, is an Afghan descent. He came with his parents from Afghanistan. They're refugees, and they're settled in Webb City in Missouri. What happened was the boy committed a suicide in the school. I mean, there's a presumption in America, we go to school to get educated, right? And somebody is going to school, and if you see in America the way the schools they work, after the school is discharged, the school authorities, the teachers, and even the security, because the reason I know, because both my daughters went to school, primary school, middle school, and high school. So, we go to pick them up. So most of the times, there are class teachers, they are responsible for the children to walk out. And after, middle school, high school, the teachers don't walk out because kids come out. The second thing is when the building is getting closed, the security, there's for every government school or private school even, there's a security, they go and check up each and every room, and they lock out, they lock the building. So they make sure that, kids have left the premises. But in this case, when you see, in Webb City, Missouri. This Rizwan is an Afghan boy, Muslim boy. Of course, when you're coming from Afghanistan to America, number one is complexion. Second is your English and your looks and national origin and your religion plays another important role. So you obviously have some limbo. You have an accent when you come to America. You're not talking like an American. You don't behave like them. So in the schools normally, the kids, local kids, do bully the kids. So there is a presumption that in the country that if the kids commit suicide in a school premises, that means there would have been any bullying. So bullying is a very serious offense. I mean, after David Law in Texas. I mean, I want to share your viewers that this boy has committed suicide, and the school found it after that, and they reported to the authorities, and police is investigating, and the school district is saying, oh, there was no bullying, there was no reports of bullying. But the presumption is, if there's no bullying, how would a young boy coming from Afghanistan going to school in this country, because there was no security in Afghanistan itself because of the Taliban, the families, they came to America, the best country on the earth, to have a secure life. And here the boy comes and is subjected to, I guess, bullying, harassment, maybe a cyberbullying or a personal bullying or a harassment or whatever. The boy goes and kills himself, suicide. And now they're investigating and they're saying, oh, we don't have any evidences that anybody has killed him, or no evidences that there was any bullying. But in my opinion, this is only my opinion, that there is a presumption of law and a presumption of fact that if the kids, unless and until the kids are abnormal, if they are having some problem at home, and obviously the psychologists will be there in the school, and the school will have a nurse normally. If you have any problems in the Western countries, the school nurse will, they will physically check them up, mentally they're checking up. And there's a nurse in the school. Every school has a nurse, as a female nurse or a male nurse. If there is a problem with the health, physical health or a mental health, they're checking them up on a constant basis. So how would somebody would commit suicide after the school? And he's hanged himself. It's hanging himself in the school district, in the school itself, in the premises. So hanging is not something small. You understand what I mean, Shivani? So
Yes.
my assumption is that there would have been definitely bullying. And, parents have raised and hue and cry, and immigrants. The biggest Muslim civil, rights organization is making a big deal of this. And, they're, of course, representing the government to investigate. And sadly, I mean, after a Rizwan's incident, just after 10 days in Texas, in Coppell Middle High School, there was another Indian boy, Sean Pritmani, was subjected to bullying again. And, your television channel covered that video. And this Rizwan's incident is not covered much in mainstream media, but this Sean Pritmani, when he was bullied in the lunchtime in a cafeteria, some white kids, they were video, taping, and that went viral. Even in American mainstream, those videos have become socially very, it became very viral. And even I saw those videos from telecasters from India too, and many South Indian channels. The other thing is, if you see the way, and this Sean Pritmani, this boy was an Indian boy, brown colored, and the aggressor was a white guy. And that white boy, he was practicing wrestling. And the sad thing is, when this boy was chokehold, that the guy, it's put the hand and chokehold, and he was stumped on the floor, this boy. And when the school authorities were reported, they punished the victim. They punished the victim, and they only punished the aggressor for 1 day, and suspend him for 1 day. And they've suspended this boy who was a victim for 3 days. I mean, I don't know what's happening. And when the school district has been asked, the police is not interfering because unfortunate thing is this boy was an initial aggressor. The white boy is a stouty guy, and his father is a board of trustee in the school district, a white kid. I mean, when you look at this, I mean, these are a couple of cases in May itself, 2 cases. And if you look back during the COVID time, many of even Chinese kids and Asian kids who were bullied in the colleges in America, last year when there was lockdown all over the world, and a lot of Asian people, Chinese people have been, bullied in the train stations, and they were stalking them, they were calling them with names. I don't know what's happening in the country. The way it's happening, I would say that this is something they have to take it very seriously. That's the reason I said, now it's a Black Life Matters. Now it's a Brown Life Matters.
Yes. Yes, indeed, Mr. Srinivas. So, Mr. Srinivas, there is a law apparently that is called as the David Law. Can you please explain exactly what this David Law is and how this helps with stopping bullying? So, please explain us.
Interesting question, Shivani. David Law, actually, it was named after a boy in Texas. That boy committed suicide after bullying, cyberbullying, and the bullying definition, even cyberbullying. Somebody texts you, emails you, stalks you on Facebook and stuff like that. Very interesting question, Ms. Shivani. In US, one must understand there are federal laws and there are state laws. And federal laws means it's all over the country. State laws is only for state. The federal government has already given certain guidelines to all the school districts in the country to curtail this bullying, because bullying is an offense actually under the federal law. And if somebody, let's say when we take the case of David, the boy committed suicide and killed himself because of cyberbullying. And after that, they made bullying as a criminal offense that amounts to manslaughter, actually. Somebody commits suicide because you caused so much outrageous, your bullying was so outrageous, and you got so emotionally distressed and you kill yourself. That means it amounts to a manslaughter. Manslaughter means it's like a murder. And, there's voluntary manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter. We don't want to go in detail because these are minor kids, because you must understand these are all small children below 16 or 18 years, young boys. They're all minors. And, there's a presumption in law saying that minors would not have an intention to kill or something. But again, they're looking at the, physical body, mental aspects. Let's not go into detail of that. But the David Law, the law which came on the name of David because the boy committed suicide in Texas. And they said, anybody who gets bullied in the school and commits suicide, and the people who caused it, because if you're bullied, not one or two persons, it could be as many people. And if they can see that these boys caused him to go and commit suicide, then the David Law came. And since that time, and all the schools, now the police gets investigated, and now you're treated like a elderly person or a major person, and you get tried and you could end up in jail. So that's David Law, and many states have come up with their own laws. And even if you look at it in a bigger picture, it's also a civil rights claim. Somebody, let's say, if you're this Afghan boy who's a Muslim boy, and it's looking at his race, he's a Muslim boy, Afghan race, and ethnicity, and he's an Asian boy, and looking at the case in this Sean Pittman in Kopal, he's an Indian boy. And why is it only subjected to some brown boys or Asian people or brown colored other than whites? So I mean, this is a serious issue to be considered, and it's of course definitely a violation of civil rights. And it's also, and even under the international law, the children, there are a lot of conventions for protection of children's rights are also there internationally. So these are all, breach of even international law, international conventions. And, most of the conventions are prepared and drafted by the United Nations. And United Nations is sitting in New York. And American government funds the United Nations building and Security Council and other things. So these guys are, premier, Americans are premier in any lawmaking drafting conventions in the world. So when this is happening, and America is based on liberty and civil rights and, abolition of slavery. I mean, if you see the pillars of Constitution of America, it's a design to have freedom, and there are 190 races live in America. Equality of law, expression, freedom of expression, right to exercise your religion. I mean, it's tolerant society. And we had independence a long time ago, and we have blacks, yellows, all types of colored people in this country, and everybody's rights get protected. I mean, feminism also started in America. You understand what I mean? And it was the first country in the world. They have allowed the women to vote. They have allowed women to practice law. I mean, this is a civilized nation. And a country like this, they're facing such aggressive behavior towards the colored people, harassment. It's criminalizing. It's very. This is not the philosophy and purpose and objective of this country. So it's very sad.
Yes, that's indeed. So, Mr. Srinivas, I was hoping can you talk a little bit more about the David law? So let's just say that one person is getting bullied and is going through a lot of trouble. So how exactly can they contact for help, and also what exactly will the David law do for the people who are bullied?
The first and foremost thing is, Shivani, because for the kids in this country, there are privacy. You can't even give the name of the person because of the privacy of the children. And second thing is, they said the first school administration has to handle this because they don't want to criminalize the children because they're all minors, where their lives are at stake and the parents' stake. And there's going to be a disharmony in the school because kids are all coming together to study, to indoctrinate themselves, study, not to just to get punished. Punishment is, of course, is part of it, but that cannot be capital punishments. The theories of punishments is to reform, not to punish them. So when they're coming, and especially in this Sean Pittman's case, now this boy, the Indian kids' parents have hired a lawyer, and the aggressors, the white kid's father, they have hired a lawyer, and now they're ending up in courts. So what's going to happen is this is going to be a disharmony in the school because now outside people, lawyers are getting involved, the media is getting involved, police is getting involved. The David law says that let the first school authorities handle this. And if the police investigate and they see that there's a crime perpetrated, then they take the cognizance and people get punished. They will be tried in the court of law. And if they get any evidences beyond reasonable doubt, they will be punished. They'll be sent to jail. But the question is here, they can't be sent to regular jail. There are juvenile homes because these are all children. Juvenile Justice Act applies. Same thing in India, same thing anywhere in the world, because these are minor children. They're sent for reformation. They're not sent to jail per se. But once you have a criminal record in your life, you can't become anything. You cannot get into school. You might not get into jobs. You can't work for the federal government, state government. You cannot work for police. You can't work for military. There are so many jobs, you will not get it. And there are many schools also, they will not accept you. So it's very sad that, if somebody gets into that level of trouble, they will be punished under the David law. So the teachers, the school authorities, and sometimes the parents can report to them to the police, and sometimes the kids can report. They can report. I mean, you call 911 and it gets reported. So the police will come. They don't see whether you're a minor or a major. The law will take its own course of action in this country because it's a rule of law. There's no discrimination.
Yes. Yes, Srinivas. So, Mr. Srinivas, another question that I had for you was that you've been in this industry for so long, you've been in the law for so long, you have so many offices around the world. What are some common and what are some cases that you've dealt with, especially that were related to racism? So I'm sure you did handle them. So can you tell, do you have anything that you want to say to the viewers?
Well, it's a very sensitive area. We can't discuss the cases in media, but of course, we had some clients in terms of discrimination that because these were my immigrants. Sometimes the companies, they don't give them enough hours. Sometimes they pay less. Sometimes they discriminate and they terminate their services, unlawful termination. And sometimes if you're a woman, sometimes if you're a brown guy or a black guy or a Hispanic guy, you are subjected to discrimination. So we have filed certain complaints with the civil rights, and we got justice, and sometimes even non-payment of wages, sometimes unlawful termination, some things like that. The other problem normally you come across in this country, because the civil right movement and the civil rights, if you're exercising that right, and discrimination or anything, only when the defendant is government. This doesn't apply to the private industry. Private corporations are not governed in this, because America is a private, everything is a private enterprise. You airlines and trains and railway stations and everything is privatized. So if you want to sue, you can only sue the state government or city or federal government under the discrimination laws, because you have to come under the definition of government. So it's a private enterprise country. America is mostly private. So it's a
Yeah.
high
So maybe do you think that because everything is private, people are prone to do more? Is that do you think, what are your
Correct.
views on that?
Well, that's one of the things, because it's a hire and fire policy, and you conducted some mischief or disciplinary action, they can terminate you. And unfortunately, in this country, we draft a lot of employment contracts. In the employment contract, there's a clause saying that the employer can terminate you at will, with cause and without causation. That means I don't like you came with some tattoos, I could fire you, because without cause. You came with the jag, something, you didn't come with, you came with the shorts or something. I can fire you because the employment contract says with cause and without causation. And you could also terminate me as an employer. I said, I don't want to work for you. They can walk off. So most of the times, because it's employment at will, so you don't have to show causation. It's a free country, and it depends upon case to case, facts to facts. It's not like our country in India. It's a different country, different laws.
Yes, a whole lot of different work. So, Mr. Srinivas, finally, what are something that you want to say to the viewers? And also, can you tell the viewers, especially a lot of viewers are watching from USA right now, can you tell them the power that they hold, and something that you can motivate them? Because I feel like a lot of people go through racism almost every single day. So, anything that you want to say to the viewers watching right now?
We can't give legal advices, but there are forums and they can do some research. There are so many forums. There are state forums. There are federal forums. Every state has its own law. And of course, as federal government, there's only one forum you can go. You can go to the federal courts, and there are federal government offices. You can go and report. Thing is, they should contact the local competent lawyers, because 50 states have 50 laws in America. It's not like India that from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, it's only one Indian law, because we can't give specific advices. So they have to contact competent local lawyers in their particular area if they have some employment issues or discrimination issues or any of those. And this show which we're doing is only for information purposes. I'm not trying to solicit or try to give any legal advices to anybody. We do get a lot of calls from different parts of the country, and our firm do give some advices on different areas of law, but we can't advise in every area of law. But generally, we give some basic ideas, information. The other thing which I would like to address in my next show, if you guys are telecasting me next week, is now during the COVID time, and now because of the Russia invasion in Ukraine, immigration is coming up with a lot of benefits to these international students. Like, the students also have right to apply for a work authorization, and they can ask for a deferral from the schools. And that's the area I would like to address more, because international students also have certain rights in America. Even they go through this, bullying, they go through this discrimination. Because I get a lot of students, they call me and they say, hey, the professors are discriminating us because we have an Indian accent, or the way we are drafting is an Indian English, things like that. And they get less marks and they get terminated. And even the school, the international student advisors, that they're terminating the school student status because they could not pay the fees in time. They're not, they're not doing right things. So in my next episode, I guess we would like to do that show for the
Yes.
international rights of.
Yes. Definitely, Mr. Srinivas, because I feel like that's also a very important topic that must be discussed. So, thank you so much, Mr. Srinivas Garu, for coming on to our show. We had an amazing show. We did talk about a very important social issue. Thank you for the viewers for tuning in. You're watching Sakshi TV with me, Shivani Raj.
Thank you.